Hello, welcome everybody. So we are in our fourth module studying about the kinematics and kinetics of rectilinear and curvilinear motion. We have already seen we have 4 parts in module 4. So already we have completed the first 3 parts, that is kinematics of rectilinear motion, kinetics of rectilinear motion, kinematics of curvilinear motion, and today we are going to see kinetics of curvilinear motion. So in our syllabus of a 4th module we have completed all these things. So now in this video we will be concentrating, or we will be studying the kinetics equation of motion and moment of momentum and work energy principles. So we will have 2 parts in this last session: kinetics of particles in uniform circular motion, that is kinetics of equation of motion, that is our first part. So when coming to kinetics, we know the difference between kinematics and kinetics. In kinematics, the forces responsible for the motion is not considered, but in kinetics, the forces that are responsible for the motion are also considered. So when we are considering the kinematics, the forces will be considered. So force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now, we are studying about the curvilinear motion. So, the path is a curved path. Now, when a particle moves in a circular path at constant velocity, or a curved path with constant velocity, there is no tangential acceleration. But there is normal acceleration towards the center, and this normal acceleration towards the center of the radius of curvature, towards the center or concentric point, when you are extending this circular path, you will get a center. So the normal acceleration towards this center is called centripetal acceleration, that is the center seeking acceleration. So when a particle is moving on a curved path with constant velocity, tangential acceleration is equal to 0 and normal acceleration is not equal to 0. So we will have only normal acceleration when the object is moving with constant velocity in a curved path. So this normal acceleration is equal to v square by r, where v is the linear velocity. V is the linear velocity and r is the radius of rotation. Now you can see this is the curved path. So this mass is moving in this curved path. So when it is moving in a curved path, this is the normal acceleration towards the center. So if this is the curve, this will be the center of the curve. So this normal acceleration will act towards the center. And if the mass is here, the normal acceleration will act like this towards the center. Okay, now this is normal acceleration acting towards the center. M is the mass. This is mass into acceleration. Force is equal to mass into acceleration. But we know the normal acceleration is equal to v square by r. Therefore, the centripetal force will act in the direction opposite to that of normal acceleration. So normal acceleration is an. Normal acceleration is an. And the mass will act towards the center, that is mass into acceleration, the weight of the object. So this is the weight of the object, mass into acceleration will act towards the center, and the centripetal acceleration, centripetal force will act in the direction opposite to that of normal acceleration. So Fc is opposite to the direction of An, and it is equal to mv square by r. Mass into acceleration, An is v square by r, so Fc is equal to mv square by r. Now we apply the Newton's law of equation of motion or D'Alembert's principle. Application of force is equal to mass into acceleration. So we get force Fc, that is the centripetal force is equal to mass into acceleration, so it is mv square by r. Now m is the mass of the particle and we will take v is the linear velocity. Now considering the angular velocity omega, we get the relationship between the linear velocity and angular velocity is v equal to r omega. So substituting v is equal to r omega in Fc is equal to mv square by r, we get centripetal force Fc is equal to mr omega square, and Fc acts in the direction opposite to that of acceleration. Now we will go for problem. So that's all the concept. That is, we are applying Newton's law of motion, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So this acceleration is normal acceleration. Then we apply the D'Alembert's principle. Now we will solve two simple problems on this concept. First problem. A girl swings a bucket of water in a vertical plane. If the circle of radius is 0.75 meter, what is the smallest velocity that the bucket should have at the top of the circle without spilling the water? Now, see, the question is, a girl swings a bucket of water in a vertical plane if the circle of radius 0.5. So the motion is a circular motion. Movement is a circular motion. And the radius of this circular curve is 0.75 meter. What is the smallest velocity that the bucket should have at the top of the circle? So this is the bucket of water. This is the mass bucket of water. This is at the top of the curve. So when the curve is like this, and the mass is at the top of the curve, the weight of the mass will act towards the center. That is, this is mass into g. W, weight of the object, weight of the bucket with water will act towards the center, that is mg. Therefore, the force is equal to mv square by r will act opposite. This will act in the opposite direction. That means now it is moving in the vertical plane. It is moving in the vertical plane. So our direction of motion will be like this. So Fc is equal to mv square by r. Now by dynamic equilibrium, that is by equating the vertical components, we get mg is equal to mv square by r. So g is equal to v square by r. We are cancelling this m and this m. So we get g is equal to v square by r. G is 9.81. V square by r radius is given as 0.75 meter. So by substituting the values, we get v is equal to 2.712 meter per second. We will go for the second problem. A cyclist riding on a level road has to turn a corner of radius 50 meter. Find the maximum speed with which he can travel the curve without the fear of skidding. Assume the coefficient of friction mu is equal to 0.5. So the cyclist, he is riding on a level road. So you can see this is the level road. So level road, and he has to turn a corner of radius 50 meter. So this is, he has to turn some radius of 50 meter. Find the maximum speed with which he can travel the curve without the fear of skidding. Assume the coefficient of friction mu is equal to 0.15. So now while the car is turned, while the cycle is turned, the weight of the body, that is the weight of the cycle, will act downwards. That is mass into acceleration, mg. This is the weight of the body. So the weight of the body is acting downwards. Since this is a surface and coefficient of friction is given, we take the normal reaction as n. N is the normal reaction. Now, the frictional force will be mu into n. So, frictional force will act in the direction opposite to that of movement. So, we will consider the movement of the cycle is in rightward direction. So, the frictional force is taken towards the leftward direction. Now, the centripetal force acts away from the center. So, this is the centrifugal force. Centrifugal force is Fc is equal to mv square by r. It acts away from the center. So, this is the center of the rotation, and this is the curve of rotation. So, our centripetal force will act from the center, it will act away. So, Fc is equal to mv square by r. Now, we resolving vertically, we get n is equal to mg. Resolving vertically, n equal to mg, and resolving horizontally, mu n is equal to mv square by r. So, substitute n is equal to mg, we get mu mg is equal to mv square by r. So, now we cancel the m. So, we get mu g is equal to v square by r. We know the value for mu is 0.15 and the value of g is 9.81 is equal to v square by radius of curve is given as 50. So, velocity is equal to 8.577 meter per second. That means he has to move, he has to speed up, he has to travel with a speed of 8.577 meter per second in order to avoid skidding. So now we will go for the last part, that is work energy principle and impulse momentum principle. So we have already seen this while studying the rectilinear motion. That is, while studying the kinetics of rectilinear motion. We will just extend it. We are not going deep into the equations. We will just extend the equation of rectilinear motion to the curvilinear motion. So we know Newton's second law is force is equal to mass into acceleration. So if it is translation or linear motion, it is force is equal to mass into acceleration, and when it comes to rotation, it is m is equal to I alpha, where m is the moment, I is the moment of inertia, and alpha is the angular acceleration. In translation, A is the linear acceleration, in rotation alpha is the angular acceleration. Now coming to work energy principle, for translation, linear translation, we have sigma F into S, that is force into linear displacement. S is the linear displacement, is equal to half m into v square minus u square. We know half mv square is the kinetic energy. So, work energy principle is the summation of total work done multiplied by the linear distance is equal to change of kinetic energy, that is half m into v square minus u square. When we are converting it for rotation, see these work energy principle and momentum impulse principle is the same for rotation and curvilinear motion. So when we are coming for rotation, sigma m into theta. Sigma m is the total moment, theta is the angular displacement, is equal to half I into omega square minus omega naught square. Omega is the final angular velocity and omega naught is the initial angular velocity. So nothing but the change in kinetic energy. Now impulse momentum equation, we know it is the change of linear momentum, difference of linear momentum, that is mv minus mu, sigma f into t. Impulse is a load applied in a very short duration. So sigma f into t is equal to m into v minus u. Here coming to rotation, it is a sigma m into t is equal to I into omega minus omega naught. So this is change of angular momentum. So nothing but work energy principle is the change of kinetic energy, and impulse momentum principle is the change of momentum. So m is the moment, I is the moment of inertia, alpha is the angular acceleration, theta is the angular displacement, omega is the angular velocity, and I omega is the angular momentum. That's all. So with this our fourth module is completed. Fourth module is over. From the next class we will start the fifth module. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If you have doubts, you can comment on the section. Thank you so much.